against Dallas this week. 133.5 rushing yards. You going more or less?
We're going to go more. Dallas has struggled stopping the run all season long. DeMario Overshone is now out for the year. Eric Kendricks has been hurt. This is a great matchup for the Eagles. Plus, not knowing who's playing quarterback for them, I think this has to be a heavy lean to the run game, especially given the uncertainty of quarterback.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts in the concussion protocol, hasn't been able to practice, so we'll see if he's able to go. But either way, Dallas, not one of the better run defenses in the league. Saquon on track for that record, right? With a couple of big games. You could break Eric. No, you're not seeing it?
If the seating is locked up, he goes into bubble wrap against the Giants.
I believe that he does go into bubble wrap, but man, I would love to see it. And I think, you know what? No, you know why I don't want it? Because people like Bart Scott, the ultimate haters, hate, are going to come on here and say things like, well, he had 17 games. Does it really count? So let Saquon Barkley ball out against the Dallas Cowboys and move on.
No, what I would say is y'all was the biggest haters because when Jamal Lewis was going for it, y'all put 13 people on the field and said, I'll be damned. And I think when you talk about the last two games, they're divisional opponents, and nobody wants their name next to that record, especially the Giants, and maybe not the Dallas Cowboys. I'll play cover zero every play. I'll be damned if you're going to get some record and put my name next to it.
Oh, so you want A.J. Brown to go for 500?
Y'all, go right ahead. There ain't no record.
But seriously, like, we sit here every Friday and we joke, with Mike T, keep telling me nobody should play. It's too dangerous. But, like, this is special. Like, this is a record. This is a rare opportunity to do something that's never been done.
Yeah, if Saquon Barkley was here, I think he would say, I'm trying to win a championship more than the record. So, look, if their seed is in doubt, he's going to play. But if, assuming that their seed is locked in, it's more important that we can win a championship this year. That is not.
I would say that for every record but this one. This one has stood the test of time, 40 years. You talk about this is a team record, right? It's an individual award, but it's a team record because that offensive line has been outstanding. That puts them in the same breath with like that Dallas Cowboys offensive line has been one of the very special lines. You talk about Saquon Barkley, how many yards he has without being touched. I mean, he has 80-yard touchdowns, 50-yard touchdowns without being touched. And that's a testament to that offensive line, how great they played.
Well, I mean, if early on this year is any sort of testament to whether or not Saquon Barkley wants the record or the Super Bowl, we know that he's going to pick the Super Bowl. He had an opportunity against the New York Giants to break his career high in rushing yards, and he said, I want to see the young boys eat. And I think when you have a running back like that or you have a superstar that's willing to give unselfishly, those are the type of dudes you want to block for, and we've seen that from Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line.
All true, but you can set your own personal career high any week you want.
Right.
This is very rare to be in a position with 2 games left to be able to break a record like this.
What happens if he got hurt in the last game?
But this is a team goal as well because they need him because Jalen Hurts is hurt, so they need him to be.
I feel like 2,000. I feel like 2,000 is a lot of yards, though.
It
right?
is
Like
a lot of yards.
If you get to 2,000, that is also rarefied.
It is.
And I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, Eric Dickerson gets to be brought up every time we bring up the fact that he has this record. Yeah. But you get brought up when you play big-time football in Super Bowls as well, Bart. I don't know.
No one's been able to tell me all week.
I don't.
Whoa! I think we're going to leave it there. Back on Get Up, it's time for a Week 17 edition of Either Or. Bart Scott, let's start with you. Who has more total yards on Sunday night, Michael Penix or Jayden Daniels?
I'm going with Michael Penix because I got a man crush right now. He throws the prettiest ball I've seen since Carson Palmer. And listen, I think they're just going to rear back and let him go. Listen, I know Jayden Daniels balling out, but they don't have no film on Michael Penix. He don't know and we don't know. And that's the beauty of it.
Mike T.
Guessing.
That's right.
Educated guess.
Just like Bart is on Either Or.
High percentage decision.
Yeah, just like the Washington Commanders are on Michael Penix. Mike T, who has more passing yards tomorrow night, Kyler Murray or Matthew Stafford?
Matthew Stafford, Roz. Typically this time of year, the team that has more to play for is going to be more productive. And again, these guys are getting healthy at the right time. Also, I trust the Ram defense right now more than I do the Cardinal defense, which to me peaked a couple of weeks too soon. So I think this is going to be a decisive win for the Rams, and I like Matt Stafford big.
Yeah, had 110 passing yards on Sunday against the Jets, so room to grow there for Matthew Stafford. RC, who has more passing touchdowns, Jordan Love or Sam Darnold?
Samuel Darnold will have more touchdown passes because I don't know if you've watched Green Bay lately, but when they get in the red zone, it is Josh Jacobs time. And so this isn't necessarily about what Sam Darnold is going to do with Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson, and also Justin Jefferson. It's about the fact that I believe the Green Bay Packers will major in the run, especially in those crucial situational football moments.
So the Packers are 11-4, which is a great record, but they just haven't got that signature win, right? Like you see the combined record of their opponent. These are their losses to the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Lions, which are maybe the three best teams in the NFC, maybe three of the best teams in the league, and then against all the other teams that have played them have losing records. So the Packers kind of feel like they need to make a statement, right, going into the playoffs. Like, do you need, if you're the Packers, you need to win this game to feel like you can hang?
I think if you're the Packers, you need to win every single game, right? Every single game you trot out your good players for, you want to win. But I think when you lose to Philadelphia and Brazil early on this year, you have 2 losses to the Detroit Lions and another one to the Minnesota Vikings, you're starting to think about those upper echelon NFC teams you'd have to beat to win a Super Bowl. And let's go back to the beginning of this year. I'm not sure what everybody's choice was early on this season, but, I was one of those guys that thought Jordan Love could win an MVP. I was one of those guys that thought that the Green Bay Packers could be a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl participant. To get there, you have to win games like this one. Now, you lost when Minnesota came to your stadium early on in the season. How does Jordan Love play? How does Josh Jacobs play? What is the Jeff Hafley effect on the defensive side of the ball? And so you want to win this game to have not only momentum going into the playoffs, but to say to yourself, you can compete with the best of the best in your conference.
I had, like RC, Jordan Love as my preseason MVP. But when you look at this heavyweight fight, and you look at the 4 units playing, the best of the 4 units to me, in my opinion, is the Vikings defense. And I've called a number of their games for ESPN radio. That game's in Minnesota, and it is loud when they are in defense. And I think of those 4 units, again, credit Brian Flores and the job they've done. 5th in the league in sacks, 1st in defensive efficiency. I think the difference in this game is home field advantage and the Vikings defense. Again, all 4 are solid units, but of the 4, they're the most dominant.
Well, the Vikings have the motivation, right, because they're still competing for the number 1 seed. And I still believe that they may be the best team in the NFC because of the injuries to the Detroit Lions. But let's go back to the first game. You talk about Jordan Love was coming off of a knee injury. Yeah. He threw for almost 400 yards against that vaunted Brian Flores defense. And I wonder what LaFleur figured out because they play him so much. I remember when I first got into this division, the AFC East with Rex Ryan, people had never seen his defense. And the more that Bill Belichick saw it, the more comfortable he got with understanding the personnel and who's the blitzers, who's the guy that does certain things. And then they started beating us with our own personnel by using our rules against us. So I wonder what Jordan Love has learned. I don't think they have to win because they only lost by 2 points. And all those losses that they had, they were small losses. This is the youngest team in the NFL, right? The average age of 25. So they're learning on the job and they're learning how to close out and win these games. But this is a dangerous team in the postseason that can figure it out and maybe get over the hump.
You mentioned the Josh Jacobs factor. Like, their offense is operating a little differently than it was the first time they saw the Vikings this year,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, because early on in the season, everybody felt like me and Mike T did that Jordan Love was going to be the MVP. And you go out and you get Josh Jacobs, and to me, Josh Jacobs has now had the effect of a Saquon Barkley, of a Derrick Henry on not only the run game, but the entire offense. The other piece is this. Remember when the Green Bay Packers headed into the playoffs last year? Jordan Love was playing some of the best ball in football. This team was riding high. That's how you go into Dallas and win a huge game in the wild card round. And you mentioned the fact that this was a close game, but remember, the Minnesota Vikings jumped out on the Green Bay Packers. And when you think about the one loss that the Minnesota Vikings did have at home, the Detroit Lions really dissected them in the middle of the field. Can the Green Bay Packers learn from that, learn from their experience working inside the numbers late in that second half and exploit some of those holes in what Brian Flores does? Because like Rex's defense as well, there's a spot to throw it.
It's always
you just have to find the spot.
I did that game, and I'll tell you what, Jared Goff made a couple throws in the fourth quarter that were just absolutely the difference maker. And this may be that Jordan Love opportunity. Hey, you're down 5, minute 20 to go, and it should be a great game. But again, like, It is really loud in there.
And I think a lot of, like, when you talk to people at that Vikings defense, it's the confusion that gets them. But the Packers seeing him twice a year. This will be the fourth time Jordan Love has played against this defense. Here are the picks. We're split. We're split on this game. 2 picking the Packers, 2 picking the Vikings. I kind of felt like Mike T in terms of the home field advantage being the tiebreaker here. But
Mike T picked Green Bay.
Right. That's interesting.
He did. Yeah. Like, are you? So what is it?
I'm remembering what he said at the beginning of this conversation about how
that was a long time ago.
Minnesota, and so I just assumed he would pick the Vikings, but now he went Bart Scott on us, and he changed his pick